Ackmark IT Solutions. Innovate, transform, grow.
Welcome back to Ackmark IT Solutions. So here's a fun question to kick things off. Every time you open Instagram, save a contact, or check your bank balance, where does all that information actually live? And how does it show up again, instantly exactly the way you left it? The answer is something called a DBMS, a database management system. It sounds like a big scary term, but stick with me for the next 10 minutes because by the end of this video, you're going to understand it better than most people who have been in IT for years. No jargon, no boring theory, just simple ideas explained simply. Let's get into it. Let's start right at the beginning with two words you have heard a lot: data and database. People mix them up all the time, so let's clear it up with a little story. Imagine I hand you a sticky note that just says 25. Useless, right? You'd probably ask 25 what? Dollars, years old, degrees outside. That lonely little 25 is what we call data, a raw fact sitting there with zero context. Now imagine instead I hand you your phone and you open your contacts app. Suddenly that 25 makes sense because it's sitting next to a name, a phone number, a photo, everything organized together, connected and meaningful. That is a database, a well organized home for related data. So it actually tells you something useful. Simple as that. Data is the ingredients, a database is the organized pantry. Okay, here's where the story gets interesting. Picture an office back in the day. Before databases were a thing, every employee has their own folder of paper files. Sounds fine until you realize what actually happens. Sarah in sales writes down a customer's address in her folder. Meanwhile, Tom in support writes down the same customer's address in his folder. Now the customers move houses, and only Sarah gets the memo. Tom's copy is now wrong. That's data inconsistency, and it happens constantly. And it gets worse because everyone's storing their own copies. You've got the same information duplicated everywhere. That's redundancy, just wasted space and effort. Anyone can flip through anyone else's folder, so there's basically no real security. And if the boss wants to know how many customers do we have in Colombo, well, good luck. Someone's manually flipping through hundreds of pages. This is exactly the mess that DBMS was invented to clean up. So here's our hero of the story, the DBMS. Think of a DBMS as a super organized, incredibly fast personal assistant who stands between you and your data. You don't have to know where anything is physically stored or write complicated instructions every single time. You just ask, show me this, save that, update this one thing, and the DBMS handles all the messy behind the scenes work for you safely and quickly. You have actually met a few of these assistants already. Even if you don't know, they are MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, SQL Server, different personalities, same job, managing your data so you don't have to think about it. Let's follow one simple request on its little journey, like a letter being delivered. It starts with you. Maybe you tap a button in an app that says show my orders. That request doesn't go straight to some giant pile of data. First, it politely knocks on the DBMS engine's door. The engine reads your request, thinks about the smartest way to fulfill it, almost like a translator turning your simple ask into precise instructions. Then it reaches the final stop, the actual stored database, where your information physically lives on a disk somewhere. It grabs exactly what's needed and then the answer travels all the way back to you, usually in less than a second. Every scroll, every search, every save you do online takes this exact little journey thousands of times a day without you ever noticing. Let's peek under the hood for a second because this part's actually pretty cool. Inside every DBMS, there's a little team working together. First up, the query processor. Think of it as the brain that reads your request and plans the fastest route to the answer. Next, the storage manager, the one who actually knows exactly where everything is physically saved on the hard drive. like a librarian who never forgets a shelf. Then there's the transaction manager. This one's a bit of a perfectionist, making sure that if something goes wrong halfway through saving your data, nothing gets left in a broken, half done state. And finally, the data dictionary, basically the team's rulebook, keeping track of what each piece of data means and how it's all structured. For teammates, one smooth running engine. The four main types of DBMS. Now, not all DBMS are built the same way. There are actually a few different styles, a bit like different genres of music. There's hierarchical, where data is arranged like a family tree, parents, children, neat little branches. There's network, where records link to each other, more like a spider web than a tree. Then there's the one you'll bump into constantly, relational or RDBMS, where everything lives in neat tables, like spreadsheets that can talk to each other. This one's the reigning champion, powering things like MySQL. And finally, NoSQL, the flexible, laid back cousin, great for huge amounts of fast changing, less structured data like MongoDB. If you're just starting your IT journey, relational databases are your best friend to learn first. Let's make the vocabulary stick with one simple picture, a customer's table. See the whole grid? That's called a table, just an organized set of related information. Now look at one single line across. See Amara's whole entry, name, city, email, all together. That one full entry is called a row or a record. Now look up and down instead at just the city column. Every customer's city lined up. That's a column or a field. And see the ID number on the far left? That's one special. It's called the primary key because it's guaranteed to be unique. Even if two customers are both named John, the database always knows exactly who's who because no two IDs are ever the same. Table, row, column, primary key, that's genuinely 90% of the vocabulary you need to get started. Let's bring this to life with something you have probably done in the last hour, opening a social media app. Behind the one photo you tapped on, there are actually three separate little tables, quietly working together. A users table holding everyone's profile information, a post table holding every photo and caption, and a comments table holding every single reply. Here's the magic part. The moment you open that post, the DBMS instantly stitches all three tables together, matching IDs behind the scenes. So you instantly see the photo, the poster's name, and every comment, all in one seamless view. It feels instant and effortless to you, but really it's three tables holding hands at a lightning speed. So let's circle all the way back to where we started, those messy paper folders, and see just how far we have come. With plain files, remember, we had duplicated data everywhere, information disagreeing with itself, weak security, and painfully slow searches. Flip that over to a DBMS, and it's a completely different story. Duplication is minimized, consistency is enforced automatically so nothing quietly goes out of sync. Security can be locked down person by person, and finding anything is as easy as asking one simple question. Even better, lots of people can safely use the same database at the same exact time without stepping on each other's toes. That transformation right there is the entire reason DBMS exists. Alright, let's bring it home with a quick recap, like the end of the good story. If this made databases click for you even a little bit, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe to Ackmark IT Solutions, and drop a comment telling me what topic you want explained next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.